on that note.
Yeah, I'm just having a little gander because I've not had a chance to do research today. I've been a busy boy. So I just want to see if I can find some facts about Castlevania
I can
Bloodlines.
tell you facts about Castlevania Bloodlines.
Is it the fact that it's not that good a game?
What? Yes.
It's before we like super delve into it. It's not a bad game.
There's no super delving into it.
No, it's like you know how the the Nintendo Entertainment System got Castlevania. This was like Sega's attempt at let's do the first Castlevania because it just feels clunky and meh.
That's not even an excuse. That's
It's
not even an excuse.
it's just I don't know what it was about it. It just wasn't very good. But like a lot of
So I'm
people, like
gonna
Die Hard, Bloodlines, it's dead good
no,
game.
I'm gonna preface this, right. I'm not a fan of the Castlevania. See, I love the concept of Castlevania, but I don't like the games. I find them too hard.
Oh,
Even now, you know, and there's just not. I just don't enjoy it. I just don't enjoy
you've
it.
still not played Symphony of the Night.
Right, I know, but that's the one that you keep telling me to, and you know I love Metroid, and you're saying that it's very Metroid, and I will give that the benefit of the doubt.
That and all the other Castlevanias I've played, all they're totally different.
Yeah,
Symphony of the Night
yeah,
is a league of its own compared to because these are all just very what do you call it linear. Just go from the left side of the screen to the right side of the screen. You do 7 stages of level 1, and then you fight a boss, and then you do 10 stages of level 2, and then you fight a boss. It's weird. Castlevania Bloodlines is weird, but Super Castlevania
it's
4 is
not.
the same.
It's not that. It's Castlevania 2, the SNES one.
Yeah,
I find them particularly. I find them too hard to. It's the platforming isn't great.
it's dodgy. Yeah,
You've got to be pixel perfect on some
it
jumps.
wasn't. I didn't notice it
It's
that
not
much
good.
in this one in Bloodlines. I didn't notice it as much.
No, I did.
Did you? I didn't.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't
Um,
think of any moments where I was like, ugh, to be honest.
and I find that the game is cheap with the Medusa heads, or if you're jumping and
That's
then
a
an
lot of
enemy
them.
comes onto the screen to hit you, and you get the bounce back. Do you know what I mean? I know it's a Castlevania thing, but it's cheap.
Yeah.
It's cheap. They're there for cheap deaths. They are. And I just think, like the levels themselves, I'm quite happy to do levels and go through levels. But then I find some of the bosses too fucking hard. Like, they're just
There was
overly hard.
there was one that was quite. I can't remember them properly. The last one I did was the end of the 4th level, I think.
Did you get to the fourth level on your own playing normal?
I needed save states. Yeah, I had to have the save states.
Even with save states, I couldn't do that.
It was difficult. I was just anytime I got to another section, whatever they call it, stage of the level, I would save state. So I probably made about 400 save states just to get to the 4th level. I think that's where I got to. Yeah, I finished the 4th level. I got to the 5th, and I basically did sort of a rage quit on the 5th because it did become stupidly hard. There's only 6 stages to the game, 6 levels.
Yeah, yeah.
It was a bit weird. I didn't gather any story to the game, but then I was just sort of like start the game. I was pressing start so I could play the game.
Yeah, so there is an intro thing at the start that some woman was trying to resurrect Dracula. Could have been Dracula. I was half reading.
Yeah, it will be.
But she had to travel through Europe, releasing
I can.
these beasts to generate the power she needed or something like that.
I've got the
Which I
plot
did.
here. I've got the plot,
Yeah,
bro.
go on. Yeah. I did like the fact that she was traveling through Europe, and it was like,
I quite like that
luckily
about
the
it, yeah.
first one. And then Italy, the Pisa, Milan, Germany, France, and I in England.
I did
England
up to
was the
Germany.
last level.
Okay.
Did you? Oh, right, okay. So I'm gonna say, right, okay. I got to like, I think it was like level 2, something like 2-7 or something like. It was the bit with, so you've got you come in and they're all like.
Oh, the Leaning Tower of Pisa bit.
Yes. Yeah. And I went up it and I dropped down and there was a mummy that was just throwing bandages at me. And I
Big
just
gap.
kept trying to
You
make
mentioned it in the message. Okay.
Yeah. And I kept trying to do the jump, and I kept dying because you're not meant to go that way. I didn't realize.
Well, not as Spearman.
Yeah. Oh, can you do it as the whip man?
I think when you're whip man, he can whip onto the roof and swing.
Oh.
Because I did it by accident when I first played as him. Because when I first played the game last Thursday when we mentioned it, I was like, I'll play as whip man because if you're playing Castlevania, you got to play as the whip man. So I was. And I think I just did it by accident. I just whipped onto the roof and he started swinging. And I was like, oh, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. So that makes sense.
That's the main difference between the two. Right, okay.
So with Spearman, you can do his super jump thing that he does. And you can go up the Tower of Pisa.
Yeah.
Whereas Whitman won't be able to do that, I imagine.
Yeah. So after I died doing that, I was like, I can't keep doing this because it took me ages to get to that bit. I must have died and like, lost. I don't use both for continues at that point.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, am I doing this again? No chance. So let's just put the cheats on and put invincibility on.
Yeah.
I put invincibility and infinite continues, and that's how I played through the game. And that's how I got to the last level. And I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't do the last level even with invincibility and infinite continues. Just put it out there.
Fair
okay?
enough.
Just put that out there.
Yeah. No, but that is the thing. Bloody hell, I was still proud of myself when I beat Castlevania, the first one, last year. But I was playing it on the PlayStation's bloody collection thing that they did, the Contra collection, Castlevania collection. So that gives you, like, you can do save states, you can do whatever. So obviously I finished the game and I had to use save states and that. But even that, to me, that was an accomplishment. And it would be the same with this. If I'd have pushed myself to get, I could easily have pushed myself and played through that 5th stage. But there was just one enemy that was he like swinging from trees or something? And like he's got he whips his tail or something.
It's a whip,
it pissed me right off. I kept dying to him in load state, load state.
With invincibility, I was like, no. Man.
It's just fuming because the knockback thing as well. Every time you get hit, you take a knockback, and it's just really irritating. And then I did the worst thing I could have done, which was I played Castlevania 4 because I thought, I wonder how because I remember I played it a little bit. It would have been on that collection on the PlayStation. I'd played a little bit, and I never really thought much of it. But like when you compare it to Bloodlines, it's just so much more fun. It's more of a Castlevania experience that I want. It's like it's nothing compared to Symphony of the Night, but that's its own thing because there's a very Metroidiness to that, which is what makes it a great game. Whereas this one is just platformy, whippy, kill the bad guys, and I love when you hold. Not that we're talking about 4, but what I love about 4 is when you hold the whip button and you can like swing it, and it looks stupid, but it's funny and it's a good laugh. You don't get to do that in Bloodlines. That's the first thing I
tried a whip guy. That was the first thing I tried. The fact that he couldn't do it, I was like, no, 4 right there.
That's generous.
No,
we have to, before we go any further, it is not worse than Golden Axe. Golden Axe is still bottom of the barrel for me. It's
that is true.
But I'll go through the plot so people can understand what we've actually tried playing. In the 19th century, Europe's greatest nations had gone to great lengths to maintain a balance of power throughout Europe. The inhabitants sensed that a war would unfold sooner or later, and countries formed several alliances, who in turn harboured feelings of distrust against each other. On June 1914, at Sarajevo, the Crown Prince of Austria was assassinated and resulted in a chain reaction of violence across the entire continent. It was said that a strange, beautiful woman was involved within the shadows. It was Elizabeth Bartley, who had plotted together with the dark sorceress Droltus Rantes to unleash an international global war and use the souls of the dead to revive their lord Dracula. Two men, descendants of the legendary Belmont family of vampire hunters, named John Morris and Eric Locard, arose to counter the threat. Together they travelled to the ruins of Dracula's castle but were unable to find any trace of the vampire lord. After learning that Elizabeth was nearby, they followed her in hot pursuit while fighting their way across all of Europe. With much effort, John and Eric were able to finally end the menace of Dracula and Elizabeth after a final showdown in Castle Proserpina. Victory would soon be tainted when they learned of the terrible price that came by using the whip's full power. I don't know. I think it's the end. So.
I mean, you get a gist of it, and in the start of the game. There's definitely no like cutscenes in between. If there is, I didn't see them. But
no, it just jumps to each level, doesn't it?
You just see the map, and you just
I quite like that though, because I didn't know after the first level if it shows you the path that I've just taken, or if it's what the path you're about to take, and it's the path you're about to take from what I gathered from when I played. I quite like that about it. There just wasn't much more else that I liked about it.
I mean, to be fair, there's not a lot in the Castlevania sort of thing, is there? You know, in general, it's you're left and right. You fight monsters. You collect power-ups to make your whip stronger, and you have a secondary one that you can only use by collecting. So it was
it's like jewels in this, isn't it? Yeah.
Gems in this one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can't remember, what is it in this?
It's normally hearts. It's normally a lot of hearts.
That's it.
Because that always confused me when I played Castlevania, because like hearts was supposed to be your life, but it's to use the secondary weapon.
Yeah. And the secondary weapons weren't that great in this one either. Yeah, the axe, the boomerang, the holy water, which I never use because holy water is shite.
Holy water in Symphony of the Night is the best. Because it burns them. You drop it on someone and it burns them. Whereas in this, it's just like a... and then it's done.
There was one I got, and I think it must have been when my staff was powered up to the max.
Yeah, man.
And it was like a little green icon, and the whole screen, it went fucking crazy. Yeah. That was pretty cool.
That was good.
I mean, there was no other ones.
I quite like that about it, though, that when you beefed up your weapon enough, it became like a super weapon. And like
the spear, I give credit to the spear looked fucking cool with the sort of like tealy flame at the end of it. That looked cool.
Just
the whip looked shite.
Yeah, the whips. It was just bland, wasn't it? That's all it is, isn't it? I mean, there's probably a reason they don't really use the whip anymore. When was the last Castlevania game out? I don't think they bother with the whip anymore. There ain't no whip in Symphony of the Night. I know that much. You play as one of the Belmonts at the start with his whip, but then you change characters and there's no more whip.
Because I mean, even with the whip, you couldn't attack above you with the whip. You couldn't go up where you can with the spear. And
I think it was 4 where they introduced that, wasn't it? 4 introduced, I think, up.
Oh yeah,
maybe diagonal.
Yeah, you can do diagonal with the whip.
Okay, you can't work.
But I didn't find the range. I didn't think you had that long a range with the whip compared to the spear guy.
No, but when you beef it up, it gets quite long. It gets a bit longer. Just a little.
So does everything if you stroke it longer.
Oh, Viagra.
Yeah, that's a bit of blue for that. But it wasn't. Out of the two characters, Spear Guy was infinitely.
He was the more interesting character, wasn't he? Because, I mean, even the whip guy is just called John Morris.
It's about as bland as name.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was like my best friend's dad's name when I was in primary school.
This is my dad, John Morris.
John Morris. I'm sure it was John Morris. Oh, do you know what? Oh no! You can see I need my phone to find him, but I'm using it.
You're using it.
But I'm sure it is John Morris. I really do.
I quite like the other characters. I like Eric Locard. It's quite like a cool name.
Mm-hmm. I like the fact that you get 2 characters. That's pretty good that you get 2 characters to play with. It gives it a bit of There's difference
Yeah, but
between the two. Do you know what I mean?
I'm pretty sure Castlevania 3 gives you 3 characters. So,
Well,
or even 4. 3 or 4.
we're talking about the Mega Drive here. 2 characters is pushing it to its limit.
Easy Tiger. Endings.
Right,
Did you know there are 4 endings to the game?
Is there? Well, it's probably you do it with both characters, individual ones, and if you're shite.
I think it's an ending for each character, and then an ending for each character in expert mode.
Oh, there is an expert mode. Yeah, I saw that was one of the cheats, and I'm like, who the fuck would want to play it in expert mode?
Isn't every playthrough expert mode?
Yeah, exactly. It's a fucking hard game to begin with.
The ending the player receives depends on which character they choose to play as. The ending depicts the respective characters staring at the crumbling of Castle Prosperity from afar. For John Morris, the ending mentions that he has stopped the resurrection of Dracula. If the game was completed on expert mode, another screen will be displayed with John striking an action pose and mentioning that the blood of vampire hunters courses through his veins. Eric's ending mentions that he has fulfilled his destiny. If the game is completed on expert mode, the reward is a close-up of the Spaniard and the declaration that greater unknowns await for him in the future.
Like this.
Yeah, with his big long spear in his hands.
And his long flowing hair.
Oh yeah, but like they're making out like he was used in other Castlevania games, but I don't know if he was.
I think it's the only one he's in, isn't it?
I don't know. I'll have a nosy now. So I quite like the character.
Yeah, no, he's pretty awesome.
Eric Lacard. So we see if he's used in other, because we're not Castlevania experts here, but
We're not, and
we're the furthest thing from it.
yeah, pretty much.
Oh no, he is. Yeah, he...
Who is he? Okay. So I'm drinking beer. I'm drinking from a brand that we don't like because they're pricks.
Oh,
But I like beer.
Corona.
No, not Corona.
Oh.
I fucking drink Corona. Everybody's Corona. I fucking hate it. It's horrible. It smells like weed.
Yeah, it's a bit dodgy, isn't it?
Yeah, and it tastes like piss.
It looks like it too.
I'm dreaming. I'm drinking Neon Dream.
Ah, okay, he's in that one.
Beer.
He's in Castlevania Portrait of Ruin for the Nintendo DS. I think they were quite well received, the DS ones.
Do you know what? I remember downloading them when I had my R4 card, and I remember starting them, but no, I've never really stuck with them.
What?
Probably should have done.
They're not bringing him up as a character. Is he mentioned in it then?
I don't know. I don't remember. The DS was like 20 years ago, mate.
I know.
I listened to Gangnam Style again. I was dancing with Miles of Gangnam Style. I was like, that was 11 years ago.
Jesus, was it?
Yeah. So.
What's this one? Castlevania Judgment for the Wii. He was on that as well, apparently.
Don't remember that.
Simon Belmont, Trevor Belmont, Grant Seifer, Maria, Eric Lacard. Oh, he looks really gimpy. Oh, where's my screen gone? Oh
no.
Screen's back. That was a bit weird. Yeah, so he's made other appearances.
Okay.
That's fair enough. I thought he was like a one and done.
Well, then I will use him in the other games if I ever get around playing them.
I don't think you will. Just play Symphony of the Night. Don't bother with anything. Play 4 again. I'm enjoying 4. I am enjoying 4. But
I thoroughly enjoyed 4, and I got to the room.
Good.
Oh, what was the spinny around room where you have to hang on and it spins? I think I just got after that.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I would love to go back and actually do a playthrough. Because I actually played through that, and it was all right. I was okay at that. It wasn't too bad. But I was definitely using save states on that. Should have used save states on this, if I'm being honest.
4 feels a lot fairer. From what I've played of it, it feels like a.
Are we doing the Bloodlines /4 now?
Well, no, but I'm just saying because I'll go back to Bloodlines. It feels a much fairer game when I play 4. Like there isn't as many cheap deaths, like the Medusa heads. I know they're going to come into it, but at the stage I'm at, it feels like it's a fairer game, and it is gradually getting more difficult. Whereas Bloodlines didn't really do that. It's just like you do stage 1, which is doable. Dracula's Castle in Romania. I can't remember the boss. Hold on. I'm a Battler. I think it was an easy boss. Easy boss, yeah. I remember him now.
I died to him, but I mean that's just I'm shy to Castlevania.
Yeah.
But generally, it was easy. Once you got that thing out, it was easy, especially with the spear guy, because you could just be far enough away that you could get him with the tip of the spear.
Yeah.
And he couldn't reach you. But if he did, he always came over and used to boot you. I found that funny actually. His animation for booting you. It was just like a little like front kick.
I don't remember.
So I was furious.
But that was an easy enough level. But then from level 2 onwards, it's like it just stomps you in the balls and just doesn't.
Alright, so 2 is 2. What was 2? That's the water one, isn't it?
2 was Greece, which I did like that. I loved the way it looked. So that was probably the high point of the game. Level 2. Yeah. The Greece.
I thought that was really good, especially when. So I'm sure the death that pissed me off the most. I think it's like 2-2 or something like that, and it's like the monoliths and the water's rising.
Yeah.
And you're jumping on the monolith, which isn't exactly, and you jump on one, and a Minotaur just runs through off the screen and just gets you in midair and sends you flat. And like even if you land on the edge of the platform, because it's like it's an angled platform, even the water will rise and kill you. I must have done that 4 or 5 times. You got me. That was cheap as fuck.
Yeah, I didn't like the sections where the water was rising or you had to go down or whatever. And if you went a bit too,
I like that.
Did you? See how it annoyed me? Because it's like if you go a little too far, if you go too early when the water's not dropped enough. Yeah. And you go where this much in the water, you're dead.
Yeah.
You cannot possibly be under that water for more than 2 seconds for it to drop down. No, he will die.
Yeah.
And
see, with the invincibility though, that bit was a little bit easier because you could go in the water, and as long as you landed on something, you wouldn't die.
Yeah.
Oh, but I did find the Medusa heads in that part were definitely there to be cheap and knock you off. It was purposely they were there for that, and that was shady. But no, I enjoyed that, and I give credit where it's due on the level as well. It's like where you have to whip some of them on, like or hit them with the spear or with the monoliths, and to knock them down.
Yeah, Levolution and all that.
Yeah, you've got to like knock the head, and and you've got to push them into. I thought that was really smart, and I think is it the first level where you've got to go up the rib cage.
Yeah, that's going. It's breaking.
That was really smart as well. I'll give them this credit for you. There were some couple, really.
It has its moments, doesn't it? That's the thing.
Yeah.
Overall, it isn't a great game, but it has those little moments.
It has the potential. That's what it has the potential, but it doesn't fulfill it.
And then
I hated the genie at the top. Remember when you've got to be.
He's making
water.
Yeah.
And he's making the guy with the little water ball thing. Like, what
it was a bit stupid. That was a point where I was. Is that the boss when you beat that guy who's making the water rise?
Yeah.
And then you fight 2 bosses.
Two
stonking guys that like. Yeah. So I kept getting killed by them.
Yeah. So did I.
And then I'd have to keep going back to beating this guy again, where you have to just jump, swipe, jump, swipe, jump, swipe, jump, swipe, jump, swipe.
Yeah.
There was nothing else to him, so to do that all the time, it got really irritating.
And the two metal guys, like the first one's quite easy.
Yeah.
Because he does what does he do? It's like a hit or something hits the ground, and if you're right next to his legs, he misses you, so you just keep on going. But it's the second guy with the axe.
Yeah, he was a bit more.
Jump in, hit him, run away, jump in, hit him, and it's a bit. Yeah. They're fine.
It was still that level was still the highlight of what I played.
What was the main? They were in the main boss, though, were they?
No, the main boss is called the Golem. And when I clicked...
the stone guy where you have to thingy his belly.
Oh, that's it. I like that.
Yeah, I like that.
He was quite tall, wasn't he? And then
you've got to chip him down.
Chip him down. No, I remember now. That was good.
Yeah.
To be fair...
The first level, I missed the werewolf. We forgot about the werewolf on the first level.
There is the Hellhound, mini boss.
Yeah, smashes, where he screams and he does the glass and the glass smashes.
Yeah.
That was pretty sick, actually.
In all fairness, I think all the bosses that I played, majority of, I enjoyed them.
Not all of them. I'll give the first two
you know, because we'll get to the last one I did, but we then had Leaning Tower of Pizza, which was the first sort of stumbling block, because I did the same as you. I got to that point where it's just too much of a gap and you can't make the jump, and I was like that.
Yeah.
Hold on now.
What am I doing wrong here? Yeah.
And then luckily I'd learned how to do his super jump, because
see, I knew the super jump, but I was just following the path like normal, just like as you would. And it wasn't until when I got the game over and I'm like, what the fuck do I do there? And the penny just dropped, and I was like, oh, for fuck's sake.
So, I think it was just a weird happening of me just messing about, because when you crouch, he does that like blinky thing. So I'm like, oh, this is going to give me like a super spear move. So I'm going up to him, crouching and doing like a spear attack, thinking it's doing something more. And I was like, I don't think it's doing anything. And then I just happened to press jump, and then it's like, oh,
it's a good attack. It's a good
it's
attack.
cool,
as
yeah.
well, like.
It's good because I'm pretty sure you're invincible when you do it as well. So I made use of that in a couple of the bosses of just to not get hit, if anything.
I like the Minotaur. I like the start of the Leaning Tower of Pisa, where the Minotaurs grab the monoliths and like they pull it and they start swinging it like bats.
That was cool.
I thought that was quite a good little touch.
The snake
Didn't like
dragon.
the harpies. I fucking hated the harpies.
Yeah, they were annoying. They're not the strongest though, but they were annoying.
No, they're just, you've got to hit them twice to get rid of them, but they're a pain in the arse.
Yeah. The white dragon is the mini boss.
White dragon.
He was just a big snaky thing, so just bones and.
I just thought that was just a normal.
So did I, but he was the mini boss. I think you fight two of them. I think you do fight two of them throughout the entire level. But
he was bigger, but I mean, I didn't think that I would class him as a boss. But okay, fair enough.
Yeah, but like the highlight of the Pisa level is where even though it was a bit annoying, I still quite liked the way it looked, is where you're jumping from platform. You're basically going around the Leaning Tower to get to the top.
But no, I did actually thought that was quite good. I mean, don't get me wrong, like it probably would have looked better on the SNES, if I'm being honest, with the Mode 7. But I'll give the Mega Drive its credit. It did look okay for the Mega Drive.
Thanks.
Wasn't a fan of the boss, if I'm being honest. I mean, at this point, I was on invincibility, so I don't think I could have done this boss.
It wasn't as difficult as it... And he'd killed me a couple times, but like, there's certain portions. He was called a gargoyle or something, wasn't he? I found another gargoyle.
I could quite easily get him, but it was the bit with the tail where he would swing his tail, and I'm attacking him because obviously I'm invincible.
Yeah.
And like he would always hit me, and I'm thinking to myself like, if I wasn't invincible, would I play it the same way? I was like, no, I'm playing it the same way that I would still play it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I know for a fact that would kill me. And
he had the same. He had a set pattern all the time. So like, I knew, when he killed me enough, I knew at which parts of the fight where to stand on the platforms to just not get hit. Just taking that one less hit was enough for me to sort of get to the end. And like, I'm not the most thingy with these games. I still just button bash and swipe, and I'm reckless.
It's the crux of Castlevania, isn't it? You've got to be patient. And I'm not patient. Like, I like to think I'm patient as a person, but when I'm playing my game, I just want it. Like,
you want to murder, don't you?
Yeah. I want a battle. Do you know what I mean? I just don't want to sit there and then take pot shots. And shit.
The only one I can happily be, the only game I can happily be patient with is Dark Souls, but it's like, it's a totally different sort of style of game, where like, I don't feel you have a lot of opportunity to be patient in these games. In Castlevania and that, because
it's got to be moving, haven't
it's so fast paced and like you don't know where to stand, so I just thrust my.
And I think overall, I didn't really think he looked that great.
I thought the setting was cool. I thought
Yeah,
like
on
on the
the
top of
the
Pisa
entire
was
Pisa was
cool,
good. Yeah,
and
that
the
was.
way it was still spinning, and I thought the color wasn't there like a red tinge to it. It looked quite smart. But yeah,
Yeah, but I just didn't like that.
the actual boss itself, I think because he doesn't have like an introduction or anything, they could have like introduced him like slowly or something. You get a good look at him, but it's
Yeah.
like you reach the top and then the screen transitions. It's spinning and there's just a floating monster here. So like I didn't get a good chance to actually look at the monster because I was too busy going trying to kill him.
Just to me, it's like you've got this 3D level that's spinning around, the spine spinning around that, and it just looked like this sort of like just normal sprite sort of thing, just like buzzing about the screen. And he just went too fast, and you couldn't really like you couldn't get a good look at it. It was
Yeah,
just
but I didn't mind that. I quite liked the boss still.
It was a very nice.
But that's where it sort of ends for me, really. It's all kind of downhill from here. Stage 4, the munitions factory in Germany.
Germany. Oh, so I
It
thought
was
this
all
was such a
right.
good level.
It was all right.
You've totally froze by the way for me, just FYI.
Oh,
I don't know what you
cool.
like on the
Well,
stream.
we're still moving on the streams, so
That's fine then.
although I didn't actually test to see if we're all right. Should be a bit.
God, we've gone this far.
I know, 35 minutes into the stream, but we should be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
we're
yeah,
good.
I loved the idea of this location. I thought it was really smart, just the Germany munitions, and I loved how all it was just the skeleton guys, but they're all in bloody army metal helmets, which
Yeah.
I thought was good. And I thought it was good the fact that they throw grenades, like their bones like grenades. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought that was quite smart. I knew they threw bones anyway, but it just I thought there was like a wee different sound when they were doing it. That kind of like sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I like the conveyor belts as well. That your platforms are conveyor belts, and I generally enjoyed. I did enjoy that setting, but there were some parts of it that were. It was confusing, some of the parts, because you had to like super jump up onto some parts to go a different way, because if you went to the right of the screen, the door was locked and you couldn't go past it, so you had to you had to go up. It wasn't very clear because you had like one path going one way, but you should be going that way, and it was a wee bit confusing.
Yeah.
But I did kind of thought like having the conveyor belts as platforms was pretty good.
Frankenstein as a mini boss.
So, so when I saw him, I was just like, what? And I just it was fine, was it? I mean, I was invincible at this point,
It was
so
fine,
I have no idea how much the battle was. I just stood there and took his shit and was just spearing him up the arse. So yeah, but I mean, as a mini boss, should he have been a mini boss? I don't know.
The
He
thing
could have
is,
done anything to a mini boss, isn't it?
he's in like every Castlevania game. That's
But at least if you make him a mini, but make him like mecha, do you know what I mean? Like, make him the end boss and turn him into like a robot Frankenstein or something.
Yeah.
If you're in a munitions plant.
yeah. Well, especially given the actual boss of it is like Gear Man.
What was the what? I can't even remember what.
It was just a walking set of gears, and he had like a core in the middle that you had to hit. But like, I actually enjoyed the boss because that was the best challenge of the game. Like it was difficult, but not irritatingly difficult where you thought, I can't do this, I'm turning the game off. It felt like a good challenge where every time he was killing me, I was this close to beating him. Kind of that Dark Souls-y thing that I always used to get with Dark Souls, where you're so close to beating a boss, and then he just nicks you at the end, and you think, you bastard, I almost had you. I'll get you next time. So I kept wanting to go back and beat him, because like he had quite an easy to read. He had an easy to read pattern. The pattern, his move pattern and that were quite easy to know what he was going to do. But like he'd always just catch you with something, and then your health would. Bloop, 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 bloop.
Go down. I'm
But-
trying to get on the stages. Here we go. Munitions factory. Right. Okay. Gear steamer.
That's the boy.
Oh Christ, yes.
I quite
Yeah, no,
liked
I
it.
was. Yeah, yeah. He was all right. Wasn't? Yeah. Oh,
I
I wasn't totally
I
enamored with
I
him.
enjoyed the boss. That's the thing. Like he looks stupid. He's just float your
Yeah,
gears with a core in the middle.
yeah, yeah.
But the actual fight, I enjoyed the
Is he the
fight.
one that turns into the car at the end as well?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm trying to find it.
But
Yeah,
it's like it was
there's
weird because his orby core thing starts quite high. Like when you're in the fight, it's like up here, so you have to do
yes.
jump, attack, jump, attack, jump, and as you hit it, it seems to lower down.
Well, mm,
So like you had to do, and then you could wail on him a bit, and then you had to duck down and attack.
I
So I
did
quite like
think
that.
I did think that he looked good. Um, in terms of, I always thought the Mega Drive was really good at that kind of like 3D sort of animation. Do you know what I mean? Because he looked like a 3D sort of like model on a 2D,
Mm.
screen. He looked that's, and I always thought the Mega Drive did quite well with that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I always did think he did look good, but I mean, I wasn't. The fact that he turned into like a little tank or car thing at the end,
I
it
like
made me
that.
chuckle. Like I thought that was pretty good, but overall, like, not totally enamored with him.
But then that's where my sort of review of the game ends because I started the next level. Like I say, I got irritated by the tree monkey, whippy, serpenty, whatever they were,
Yeah,
and I just kept they just felt cheap, really cheap to a point where I thought I'm not enjoying this anymore.
yeah.
I'm done.
This I thought it looked really smart.
It looked okay.
Especially,
It
yeah,
weren't
especially when you
grease.
get into the palace and you get to the fountain and the fountain's full of blood.
Oh, that bit,
That
yeah,
was
that was cool. But it's
that was
as
pretty
you
good.
get out of that fountain, you then get to this portion with the monkey, serpenty
Yeah.
tree things, and
They're just called skeleton monkeys.
there you go.
Yeah, spinning in circles, swiping with its claw-like appendages. So
Yeah,
yeah,
not for me.
yeah.
Kind of that was my moment. So
Well,
if you
they-
wanna talk about the rest of the game, it's all on you because I didn't play the rest.
I mean, if I'm being honest, I can't really remember all that much, to be honest, from that point.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the other two bosses here to see to. Oh yes, right, okay. So I know that. Do you go inside the palace? I can't remember if you
Probably.
do
I'd
go inside
imagine
the
you
palace.
would, wouldn't you?
Yeah, or is it? Yeah, it was at least a shrine or something. But yeah, so there's one of the bosses. It's they're big like night guys again, more night, but like you'll see on the wiki, you'll see like, but yeah, the big giant proper like French knights with the big sort of like gold crest bang down the back of the helmet and all that sort of stuff.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't even remember what I just, because I was invincible, I just stood there and just bashed the bloody attack.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
can't really even give you like a good if they were hard or not. I'm trying to get a picture. Ah, he was fucking massive as well. Yeah, no, he was absolutely huge. Filled the screen. He was right, the mini boss, but the actual main boss is called a silhouette demon, which was two faces that faced each other,
Yeah.
and they shot up to energy balls. So it was weird. Like, it was a good fight, and I really enjoyed it. But it was like the image of it's like the candle, and
Yeah.
it's like there's two faces at the side.
Oh
Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? It's like,
Yeah.
do you see the candle, or do you see the
Oh
faces?
yeah, I've seen it.
That,
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
that's the boss. That's what the boss is, sort of thing.
Okay.
And so yeah, I basically would stand. I think this would be an easy boss to do once you know the pattern.
Yeah.
Because basically they look at when they're looking at each other, they do this, generate an orb, and then it just bounces around the level.
Hmm.
And so you have to hit it
Oh
twice
yeah, I'm watching it
to get
now.
rid
Yeah.
of it. Yeah, I'd say when I was doing it, once I got the pattern, I thought actually it should be fairly easy to
Oh,
do.
this guy's doing some cool ass moves with the spear. How'd you do that? He's like
See,
doing
this
like a
is
spin thing to each side.
How the hell did you do that?
I have no idea, but it looks friggin' awesome.
Do you know what? I'm gonna go on the wiki. I'm gonna read this and get some fucking.
Just YouTube. Go to YouTube and Castlevania Bloodlines. It'll be the first playthrough, Genesis playthrough. Go 35 minutes in, you see that boss, the guy fighting that boss, and he keeps doing some cool ass spear thing.
God. Castle Mega Drive long play.
I will give it like its props for that character. We mentioned it earlier. That character is really good. Eric Lacard with his spear. And like he's got it on fire. When you get it on fire, it's cool.
Aye, so yeah, you see the guys with the bloody Gatling gun with the red armor guys, they were bloody cool.
Yeah.
I thought they were really good. With the Gatling gun for arms. Right, okay, what does he do here? What's that?
It's cool, isn't it?
I know.
Means we've got to play Bloodlines more so we can learn how to play the game.
Figure out what to do. I know.
But even this last stage, in England, it looks really good. To be fair, it looks really good. Why is the screen torn in 3 places? That's really weird.
Oh, that was such a hard part.
Is that a real thing? It's not my screen's gone funny.
No, that was.
Okay, so that's the thing they did. Split the screen in 3. So you got legs here, a torso here, and a head here.
Yeah, it was like a reflection. You'd have to like see your reflection in the background to where you were in relation to the platform. And you had to like actually look and sort of like think of the where you're jumping.
And you got the Medusa heads here as well. So.
Yeah, see at the end of the bloody Versailles thing, you've got the woman in the dress. Yeah, turns into a fucking moth.
Yeah, that looked really cool.
Yeah.
And then you're upside down in this stage. It's like they're trying.
This is where I just like I'm done.
Yeah.
Because it was hard enough doing that split screen thing.
Yeah.
To get through that, and then when I went upside down, it's not even that you're upside down. Your controls are also upside down.
Oh right, okay.
So if I was like trying to say, I'm trying to find it in the video. That's that there. So like to attack, you're on the roof. So you would just assume the controls are the same, that if you wanted to attack up, you'd have to press
down.
Up.
Oh, right,
you have to press down. See, I would assume you still press up, because left and right still work the same.
Yeah. Oh, mate,
do you know what I mean? So you press right to go to the right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I went up to walk up these first set of stairs, and I got up, totally fine. Made these first set of jumps over with these orbs, totally fine. And then I can't remember. Oh God, where was it? It's the second steps here. It's 4 steps between 2 platforms, and I was like, went to press the diagonal up to go up the stairs, and I just fell through the platform. And when you die, puts you right back at the start.
Yeah, it's brutal when you die. It does take you back all the way back to the start of. That portion of the level. I was just like,
you know what? I'm not doing that whole split thing again to get to here, because it took me like even Invincible, the 9 lives and Infinite Continues, it still took me like about 20 minutes to figure what the fuck, you know what I mean, how to get that first part. And I was like, I'm not struggling to do that all again for this bit. So I was like, that was me. That's the point that I got up to now. So
yeah.
So I'm just looking through this video now.
Yeah, he's fighting. My man is fighting the Grim Reaper with tarot cards.
Did you fight all the bosses again?
Well, he was fighting the Grim Reaper, and now he's fighting the gear steamer again, whatever he was called.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, I'm not huge on that recycling old bosses as like a super mega boss sort of thing.
Yeah,
that's a bit cheap.
But looks pretty cool.
I think.
What do you do with these tarot cards?
I don't know. I think the fella just attacks them and it transports him.
You just have to like hit the right one.
I think you've just got to go through each one, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're picking your fate basically by the looks of it, and he's taking you to.
Todd Gargoyle, that's his name.
Yeah.
Let's see what that shit says.
And then, he's fighting the golem thing again. The golem's a really cool fight. The way you destroy his body and so you can get to his eye.
He's been in loads of fucking stuff. That card gargoyle.
Right.
I can have loads of games.
I just want to see the Dracula fight. Because there's always a Dracula fight at the end.
There's still, what, 15 minutes of gameplay after this. Is that a snake?
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool.
The Dracula fight looks standard. It looks like a standard Castlevania final boss fight with Dracula, in all fairness.
Where's the woman?
Who?
The woman.
Is
that the one? Oh no, she's there. Oh, she's after the snake guy.
I've skipped straight to the Dracula fight here, so.
Oh right. Oh, she's one of them ones that splits herself into like 4 different people, and you've got to get the right one.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Oh, you just hit her and duck, essentially.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
To be fair, I think maybe I've been. Whoa, that looks pretty cool. I was maybe a bit harsh on the game because even looking back at this footage now and like talking about certain bits with you, I think it was a better game than I remember it.
It was, like I say, it wasn't necessarily that it was a bad game. It's just
it could have.
It had so much potential that it didn't fulfill. I think.
I would say, for starters, don't play with John Morris. Don't play Whitman. Yeah. Spearman was a lot more fun.
Yeah.
And just watching someone play as him, like, he's swiping at Dracula and then waiting for Dracula to get above him so he can do the jump attack to him. And that looks smart. It looks really cool. Attack and then a vertical attack sort of thing.
Yeah. No, that is.
And then,
he is the far better character. He makes the game far more. I'm not going to say easier, but it's more enjoyable with
just
him.
A more enjoyable run of the game, yeah. And to my closing statement on the game really is I think had I have had this on the Sega Mega Drive, I would have had a big fondness for it now. I think I would have really enjoyed. It would have been tough as nails, but there was a bunch of games I played as a kid that were tough as nails, and I still love them now. But that's what games were then. They were hard for a reason.
We say every week you only get 3-4 games a year, so
So it had to be difficult. It's a Castlevania game, and it was of that time where you needed the games to be difficult for the longevity of them, so people would keep playing them and go back to them. And I think I would have really loved this game if I'd have had it back in the 90s. But because it's a bit rough around the edges now. It was a fun enough experience, but it was a bit rough.
Yeah. No, do you know what? Even see when I was doing it with Invincibility, I still enjoyed it. There was some cheap deaths that were getting knocked off the platforms, which were annoying. But I mean, it still had a fun play. Do you know what I mean? I actually enjoyed, and I actually wanted to go back and carry on because obviously I'm playing it by putting the boys to bed and between baths and all that sort of stuff. And I did find myself like, right, I'll just go on and just do a couple of levels. Do you know what I mean? And I just felt myself wanting to do that. So it did hold my attention.
Yeah, that's the thing. It never felt like a chore, because kind of like I think with any game where we decide, let's play this, let's talk about this next week, so we'll have to give it a play. There wasn't any point over this week where I've sort of gone, oh god, I guess I'll have to trudge through a few levels of Castlevania so I've got something to talk about. I was getting into bed and going and thinking, oh, I can play a little bit more Castlevania now, someday. And then it's just that the Versailles level did annoy me to the point where I turned it off. But like having seen a bit more of the footage afterwards, I've kind of in my head gone, oh, I kind of wish I played that.
Seeing if you knew about that side attack thing, you probably would have done it at that point. Then got the monkeys.
Got to learn it now. But that's the thing. I am playing through 4. I'm enjoying what I'm playing so far, so I'm going to keep going with that. And I might go back to Bloodlines after, just for that little bit of comparison again. Because for some reason, these are the two that people sort of. You either like Castlevania 4 or Bloodlines. You can't like both apparently, because they're on different consoles. Oh.
Yeah. I do one thing though. It didn't. I mean, I'm comparing it to 4, but I mean, Bloodlines just didn't graphically look as good.
Wasn't that impressive?
I don't know if there's any difference. Yeah, yeah, and that's another thing as well that kind of it's not a bugbear, but it just makes me like. And I don't know what the difference in years is between the two of them, but I
Two
mean,
years, I think.
is it? So it's
Yeah.
not that much.
But
Uh,
Bloodlines is 2 years younger. Yeah, and 4 looks a lot better. I'm sure 4 is 1992 and Bloodlines is 94.
yeah.
And it doesn't look like a game that's 2 years,
Yeah. So it's
better off.
essentially it's a downgrade essentially then, isn't it? You come
Yeah,
from four
in
down to
our
this.
opinion, it's a downgrade on an
Yeah.
older game.
Yeah.
But we probably
Surely
should.
the Mega Drive could have handled something, you know what I mean? At least similar, big enough sprites.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It felt like the NES
Felt like it
Castlevania.
was
That's
very far away
yeah. It just felt
from
like
that.
a NES game. It felt like the NES
Yeah.
Castlevania, but like a bit
But
more
with a
colourful.
Mega Drive palette.
Yeah, and I think that was my big issue with it. When you compare it with Castlevania 4, you can see that they've tried really updating the graphics and that making it look like a Super Nintendo game.
They used Mode 7 like so smartly in that game. So I mean, yeah, they used everything the SNES could throw
And
at it.
and it feels 4 felt like a proper Castlevania game.
Oh, it felt like
Bloodlines
an
doesn't
upgrade.
quite feel the same. It just feels
Yeah.
a bit clunky.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I respect a lot of what they did in it, and I enjoyed a lot of the bosses. Majority of the levels looked smart, especially the Grease level. And I really like that character. I really like Eric Lacard with his the poker. Yeah.
At least we win many poker.
Yeah. I would give it a 6.5. I would just give it a round 6.5. In comparison, when I'm looking at the leaderboard, and like,
Okay.
I did enjoy it enough to give it 6.5.
Okay.
Because I'm fond of Castlevania as well. I like a Castlevania game.
I was just gonna give it a flat 5.
Okay, yeah, it's fair enough.
It's neither. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not good.
It's
And
far
there's-
from the best Castlevania.
And
but-
and there's points throughout it that tip it over to bad and good. Do you know what I mean? There's so like flat 5.
And
that's it.
I'm pretty sure that puts it 16th, just above Bomberman, underneath Star Fox.
575,000.
Yeah.
575,000. Yeah. Yeah.
So
And thank fuck it's under Star Fox because I would have.
it is under Star Fox.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm on a ground floor. Do you know what I mean? And I would have just thrown myself out the window. And hopefully, like, the glass was like 7.5 or something.
But I think that's a fair score, just above 5. Just under 6.
Yeah,
It was fine.
it was.
We now have our 19th entry on
Yeah.
the slag as well.
Yeah, there you go. God.
Right? Do you have a suggestion for next week? Because I do have one. If you don't have one,
So you spoke about banjo, but like I need you to play and complete banjo if we're gonna do banjo.
Ooh.
So
How long
and I
does
mean,
it take to complete?
It depends if you want to just complete it or you want to 100% it.
I want to just complete it.
Probably, I don't know, 20 hours.
Jesus mercy! I don't get the chance.
It's action platform game. Do you know what I mean? Just look. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. What's your suggestion?
Well, my suggestion was just going to be something like a Super Mario Sunshine, just
Super Mario Sunshine.
Yeah, because it's a bit of like a bit of a black sheep of the Mario.
Have you played it and finished it? Because you can't talk about
No, because
Super Mario Sunshine.
it's not great.
That's why you need to try and finish
It's
it.
not great though.
I know.
But I like.
You can't talk about that.
I totally
So
forgot
that's
about
fine.
Banjo Kazooie though. I do want. We won't say for certain that we'll do Banjo Kazooie next week. Let me try it.
No.
On-
You need to finish Banjo.
No, but what I want to do, I want to try it on the Game Bloke. If it's playable, That if it's playable, then it's doable. I don't get the chance to play on consoles anymore.
You need the camera.
Then we might have an issue with Banjo-Kazooie because I won't get the chance to go on the Xbox much. That's the problem.
We will never talk about Banjo-Kazooie.
We will, son. We will.
Yeah. I refuse until you complete it.
I do want to do Banjo. I do want to actually play it, but it all depends on the game bloke if it's doable.
I actually don't know how well it would play.
It'll run fine. If you run it through Android, it runs totally fine because Ocarina of Time runs well on Android. It runs like butt through the normal operating system.
I tell you what, then I will give it a shot, and I will let you know if it's good or not.
Well, you do know best. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe Banjo, maybe something else.
Maybe some else, probably some else, but we'll discuss it. Okay.
Yes, boss. Love you, bro. Cheers, guys.
Right. Love you, bro.
Get following, get subscribing.
Make him happy.
Yee.